And we are live. Welcome, guys. This is Baron Yam and Tico Tren, aka Baron and Sadist. We're going to do
What's
a
going
live
on?
stream on groupthink, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm in full agreement with Tico about the group think live stream. I'm not in disagreement at all.
You're simple as hell. That's a serious groupthink right there. We're just simpleton.
Yeah, and I kind of want to talk about groupthink from an esoteric perspective because it's kind of a it's used by a lot of different people to mean a lot of different things, and of course we can't solve the questions about groupthink in one live stream, but by like approaching it and dissecting it, I think you can kind of, if you don't know too much about it, or if you do know a lot about it, hopefully this can be helpful to you. Um, and I'm not really using a lot of scholarly articles for this. It's just going to be kind of like a free flowing discussion. But yeah, the way that I relate to groupthink is mostly just with like the left and the way that they like all agree about certain anecdotal evidence or outliers or exceptions to the rule and things like that to justify the way that they think and things like that for that matter. And it's really the kind of discussions that I had in college that kind of made me look at groupthink and see it as a huge problem, because there's ways that people thinking together can be good, but when the discussion is about dignity and stuff like that, and really philosophical stuff, and then someone brings up a situation with like sexual assault and abortion, which was like the two main topics when I was going to school, was like rape and abortions. Which, I mean, it's crazy that those were topics that we discussed in the institution that's supposed to be about like various topics. It's like everything was about those two issues, which I found really weird.
Mhm.
And being the person that I was, the things that I would say, I often wanted to know the truth about things. So whenever the discussion would end, I would often still have questions, and one of my partners in the class would also have questions, and the professor would almost act like the gatekeeper, and they would actually use my peers in my classroom against me to stifle the conversation. And I noticed that a lot, particularly in like philosophy classes, but not only that, like even stuff surrounding like the field of like communications or like corporate or organizational stuff, like things about how to run a business. People are often use groupthink to like eliminate all of the contrary viewpoints. Um,
Yeah, true. Very true. They do. And it's sad to watch when that happens. And the sad part about groupthink, when you actually see it happen, it tends to always fall apart when it comes to certain things because people always can't agree on certain things, even if it's like you're a group. Like there's certain topics that's always going to divide a group of people for the most part. And the sad part about that is what happens with a lot of those people is they tend to regret or get upset or always try to eat. Well, what we refer to as the left eating the left tends to happen a lot when it comes to things like that. Um, and it's sad to watch. It is very sad to watch. Like a grown ass people, you would hope they're grown ass people, like literally attack each other and put each other down. And what's up, Americus? And what's up, Captain Brandon? Welcome to the live stream. This one's about like groupthink. um,
yeah, and it's like that. First off, before we get into it, like how does a person fight groupthink? It's almost like you can't, because the implication is that you're surrounded, or there is a majority again, mounting an intellectual assault against you. So it's like you don't most people on the left try to fight the groupthink of traditionalism, the sort of like corralling of people into a specific set of variables and stuff like that, which they claim that is it's beneficial by instituting more groupthink in the opposite direction, saying like if you don't want to date somebody who's transsexual, that makes you transphobic. Or
Yeah.
if you don't want, and so it's like they fight groupthink with groupthink, and in this scenario, it's not actually solving anything; it's creating more
Well,
pandemonium.
yeah, the sad part about that is not only are they fighting groupthink with groupthink, they're fighting groupthink with groupthink and group racism basically, or group prejudice for the most part. So
Yeah,
it's like you're not only are you creating pandemonium, but you're also dividing everybody in cultures for the most part. Because now you're just playing identity politics at that point in time, and nobody really likes to play identity politics, and nobody ever really feels like participating in identity politics. But this ends up being the same group of women or people who would say there's no such thing as race. It's all one race. But the minute you actually, say you don't want to date somebody, they'll try to say you don't want to date this person because they're trans, or you don't want to date this person because they're black, or you don't want to date this person because they're Arab, or you don't want to date this person because they're Mexican, or you don't want to date this person because they're fat. You don't want to date this person because this. And it's like,
yeah,
wait, what? No, nigga, that has nothing to do with it.
yeah.
I just don't want to date the person. Like,
And what I noticed too is it's the fear of actually having to manage a relationship that pushes someone into the alternative lifestyle.
oh, definitely.
It's kind of like I have to manage a relationship with one man or something if I'm a woman for a long period of time, and I have to accept that man's flaws, and I have to have control over my emotions, and I have to manage the household, the kids, and everything. That's such a difficult set of circumstances that I need to basically recharacterize the whole thing as patriarchal and oppressive in order to relinquish that responsibility and go into my alternative lifestyle. Or if they go into a career field, they're very like environmentally conscious or very socially conscious, and that becomes their relationship is their work or their relationship to their work. And then they just it's spiraling, and you can see it spiraling because from the base of where they started is like an underlying lack of a substantial relationship to carry them through time. And that's what I noticed with a lot of these women is that they've instead of choosing something more long lasting, they take the ride on the carousel. It doesn't even have to be the CC. It just has to be anything that's more entertaining than doing this one relationship that's worthwhile and that's going to actually improve their life. And all of a sudden, they're worn out in the years that a person who did have it would have kind of coasted through more gently or gracefully.
Hmm.
And I just think that it has everything to do with people aging more gracefully when they value something that kind of like doesn't make them move to where the group goes, because wherever the group goes, there's a lot of things that would age you, or like you see a lot of fads like vaping or fads that kind of cause a lot of injury to a person. And I think that the group think just complicates things, where it's like you're more likely to fall into one of those categories where people age faster
Oh,
and live
definitely.
less fulfilled lives.
Or
Yeah,
stress, because you also have to take you age faster because you're stressed out because you don't want to step on the toes of your fellow group thinkers and
yeah.
shit like that for the most part. And
And it's not even, and
what's
people
up,
are,
Captain Brandon? He said, "What's up to us?" Um, yeah, but basically, you get caught up in a whole entire thing of like not wanting to step on each other's toes, so you get stressed out. And what does stress do?
yeah,
It releases chemicals in your system that makes you stress more, and it actually wreaks havoc on your system. Let it be your immune system, let it be your skin, let it be you mentally, and it all shows in how you look and how you age. It's just shit like that that just blows my mind when people participate in groupthink. The problem with groupthink is, like I was saying, you're not always going to agree with each other, and you're always going to be in conflict with each other at the same damn time. And people seem to forget about this, and people
yeah.
seem to not understand why and how they got into the mess that they're in, or they ignored the why and how they got into the mess they're in instead, which is actually really sad. Like, why and how?
And it's the virtue signaling that obscures their view of what's of like how to do good to a person, another person, because they virtue signal and they then that allows them to overlook any sort of like real good that people do, and then they're worried about recycling, or they're worried about the environment and stuff, when in reality they're more stressed out by pissing off the people in their group, like you just said. They're not
Oh,
actually
definitely.
worried about the social issues. They're just worried about being accepted by everybody else in their group. And it's like when you start to tune out that group think, you can actually do good things for, your fellow person, or your environment, or like charity and stuff. You can actually focus on things that are good. And it's kind of like back in the day, they had back when the Catholic Church, hadn't really gone through its Reformation process and stuff. There was like this whole groupthink attitude towards being saved, and like salvation and stuff like that. And without getting too much into like the biblical or like the theological stuff, it was like people were paying money to the Catholic Church because the church was like convincing them that if they paid, they would get a ticket to heaven.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's when like Martin Luther basically tried to explain that salvation happened from, grace, like the grace of God, not by just doing good works and expecting to get rewarded for it, and paying
Yeah.
money and expecting to get rewarded for it. And that's how you see like the upper echelons of society trying to pay their way into, the good graces of people, as they try to do as much in the public eye as they can, because they think that that's what's going to get people on their side at the end of the day, which we see in everybody who's been in the news recently. Everyone just cancels them, like no matter who they were to that person before. As
Yeah.
soon as something happens, they're like, all right, fuck that person, we don't care about that person
No
anymore.
more. We want
And
this
it's
person now. And like what's going on now is the whole entire left like canceling each other because apparently Alyssa Milano and Rose McGowan don't agree with each other. Then you got people calling people like Tim Pool uh, uh a a alt righter, even though he's actually a leftist. Like that just blows my mind within itself. Like he's a leftist. How is he an alt righter? Or how is he
yeah,
a right person, basically, a right leaning person? He's not. That's the sad part. And like they're calling all these left leaning people who actually can think for themselves and who are free thinkers, they're all calling them like alt righters. Like because they don't agree with the whole entire narrative that they're actually trying to preach and teach, which is actually literally a narrative that you're literally trying to preach and teach. Or actually, I shouldn't say preach and teach. I should say more so shove down people's throats for the most part, which is actually pretty sad. We got to shove something down somebody's throat.
yeah. And that's the thing too, is it would if it was simple, and if it was correct, then it wouldn't need all of the backing that it's getting from all these different places. And it goes to show you, just how dogmatic the belief itself is in the first place, that we can change things. We can. This generation is different than the last. It's kind of like when you see people saying like uh to Tom Likas, like when he's like, oh, I don't really care about relationships and stuff. And then they say to him, it's like, well, I used to think like that, but then I realized, like, this is the generation where we can change. We can be better men, and we can do this. And it's like that kind of mentality is it's just virtue signaling, because we're all the same. It's like we're all human. And to say that those people over there do the bad stuff, and we over here, we actually care about doing the right thing. It's all just words, because this when the circumstances change, and when you don't have a job anymore, and when things are locked down, and your only really way to matter is if you tell on somebody for not wearing a mask. You don't know whether or not you're going to do that or not, because or to to rat on your fellow brother just about anything now, because there's so much money at stake, and there's so much tension in the air and stuff because of all the stuff that's going on. You don't know what you're going to do. like you all this time, people on the left have been virtue signaling about, we're the ones with the answers, and the people on the right are just basically like, oh, they just have such a dinosaur mentality. And it's like, I'm not really on the right in general, but like just the way that I oriented towards the left is just, I see all their bullshit and I'm just like calling it out all the time, and they hate me for it, which is just, uh, when it comes down to it, I see some of the people on the left as being like the people that are going to start doing the most radical stuff immediate or first,
Oh,
not
definitely.
necessarily the people on the right. And
Hell, they do it now.
that's why I've always had the position that I've had, because no matter what, I know a leftist person is more likely to dox me and to expose me and or talk crap about behind my back than a person on the right, because a person on the right's not as invested in winning this virtue signal war as the people on the left are. And that's just something I've always known since the beginning of getting involved in politics and stuff.
Yeah, true. And the thing about that with a lot of people, when it comes down to it, what a lot of people tend to do within that group think is they tend to not only like bash each other, or they tend to do a lot of shit that's not very they say that, in other words, they call themselves progressive, but they're really not all that progressive. They tend to be like a lot more regressive. They tend to use a lot of regressive terms like comrade, or shit that you probably shouldn't use and say. That'd be like, if that would rank up there with, like, if they were sitting in a room, if they were like just calling people you know racial terms for the most part to address them, which would really suck. And the sad part about that is this is how bad this is. It's funny how a first world country society, progresses so far to only regress under the weight of, like, stupidity for the most part, or people that think they're doing the right thing or believe they're doing the right thing. They're all being crushed under the weight of that, both literally and physically. And mentally, I mean,
Yeah.
once you think about it, like, theoretically too, they're being crushed under the weight of stupidity. For a society to progress, I mean, to progress and digress so fast, it's like ridiculous. It's like one minute
Yeah, it's like
we're making all these
the train
advancements.
smashed into a wall. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
And
one
then
minute
it
we're
falls
making
out
all
the
these
car.
advancements, and next thing you know it, we're devolving into, like, fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? Not chimps. Because at least chimps actually have some
Well, worse than chimps,
morality,
man.
and chimps have some morality, and, like, it just blows my mind how people can actually do and say shit.
I would say it's like a cross between like a hyena and another and like a sheep, or like some sort of predatory animal, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to like the ruling class, because a lot of the people who are claimed to be leftist are, like you said, are more conservative in their belief system, but are regressive in their like actual in terms of human behavior. Like they look for older tropes to metastasize their ideology with. Like they look for something that's pithy, as opposed to doing something going with a belief system that makes them very uncomfortable on a daily basis to sort of navigate through the world. They rather would take something and be like, oh, that black person is like, his name probably is Tyrone, and he probably doesn't know how to get voter ID, and he probably also doesn't have access to the certain facilities to get this, and like I have to stand up for him, and it's like the progressives of the past, where they didn't necessarily have all of the modern statistics and stuff that we have today in order to form an opinion. But now it's like you have responsibility, you have like a responsibility to know the facts behind stuff. And it's like a lot of people are so entranced in groupthink, they don't even bother doing research, or they do like the smallest amount, and then they like think that belief system is going to carry them through and convince other people, when in reality all you're doing is you're turning more and more people away, and it's just like almost a joke for people who don't agree with you at all. And for people who do agree with you, it's just like it's always the same shit for the people that do agree with you.
Yeah,
And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree 100%. And the living thing that the left kind of reminds me of is crocodiles for the most part. They basically just lie in wait and wait for a moment to strike at you, or wait for that gotcha moment, or wait to actually, get you. And then on top of that, when it doesn't work out in their favor, when I say crocodile, they basically cry crocodile tears to basically so they can get you in trouble or cancel you and shit like that for the most part. And it's just funny things like that that actually makes it so. Oh, Double I's joining us now. About time. It's like, it's just funny shit like that that just makes
proactive.
it. Yeah, they're not
proactive. They're very reactive. What's up, Double I?
They're very
How's
reactive.
it going, guys? Y'all are messing with my beauty rift.
You could have went to sleep. We just asked you if you wanted to join. That's it.
Oh, yeah, you expected me to say no?
You could have said no.
you expected me to say no? And I mean, you got Americus DeVille in the chat. I'm sure you've got some other heavy hitters, and you expect me to sit on the sideline and not come into this. Come on. No, that's like Yam, Baron Yam, throwing out the what do you call it, the flag and saying GTA or Forest or something like that. Right. I needed sleep, but not today.
Not today.
Well, the only reason why we're doing this because Duzang had to cancel because he had a busy schedule, so he decided to do a live stream now.
What do you mean he canceled?
We had remember we rarely do Savages on Friday. Remember?
Yeah, I know. I didn't hear from you, so I figured that we weren't
doing
it was
canceled.
anything.
Yeah, and that's usually how it is. Like I kind of figured. Well, he said, "Well, I don't know. I don't think I could do it." I was like, "Okay, fine then."
Wow.
I know Savage Day.
No worries.
I think a lot of the
we're talking about good thing.
I guess just like the reaction videos.
Oh yes,
the reaction videos are kind of like a response to, or a kind of like a reaction to groupthink, because whenever somebody responds to something or reacts to something, you always see like a unique and individual take on something that is broadcasted to like a broad audience. And then like a reaction video is like, hey man, I just saw this music video, and like, damn, I thought this, that, and the other about that, and that shit was cool. And like I think that partially you could definitely see the manosphere as being kind of like against the whole groupthink in general, because anybody who doesn't make content online surely is not like, maybe somebody who listens to content online, but I think a lot of and I think that's the majority of people, is that majority of people don't make content. But for the people that don't, and they don't really listen to the manosphere, I feel like those people are like the most susceptible to groupthink, because they don't have a lot of people reacting in their individual capacity to things. It's always conversations in public about the news, about the current events, and they don't really get that alone time when most of us are sitting in our car listening to some voice that if other people heard it, they would kind of they would get funny looks. And so a lot of people have their time pretty much soaked up, and therefore groupthink is like a good outlet for them to foist their ideological powers, because everybody has powers. Like we all have the power. We all have the power to make something real, but the fact that a lot of us don't really have the time to create something new means that a lot of people are fueling this like huge dogmatic belief in certain things, and it's creating. It's why we have reaction video or like response videos nowadays.
Oh, definitely.
Damn, Tico, you really got his knowledge wheel just like spinning the fuck already.
I know, right?
I mean, I could see the hamsters running 50 miles.
That was
an hour.
Jack Nicholson, America's DeVille, for that comment that you said. take a man, subtract all accountability, logic, and reasoning. That was from that Jack Nicholson movie. I remember that. That was a good movie. How do you know how to write women so well?
you said a lot, Yam. You said a lot to dissect.
Definitely.
Let me hit on a few points because I agree, I disagree, and I agree, right? But let me explain that. So I agree with you that groupthink is a very powerful thing, right? It's difficult to combat and everything like that. I disagree with you.
The people that made it are not powerful, but the thing is,
Right.
the thing in of itself is very powerful.
Yeah, because it spreads falsehoods and basically not just falsehoods, but it basically spreads a cowering way of resulting in things, right?
It's like a neurotoxin.
Right. It is right. So the first part about that, I agree. Right. What did I disagree with? That it takes a red pill guy to see past the groupthink. You're wrong about that, and that's the sad part, right? So there's a reason. There's a reason why I kind of found myself in this, and I don't want to say niche or section of the manosphere, which is now referred to as a Ticosphere, right? So this section, I guess you would want to say is a Ticosphere section, right? I find myself in this Ticosphere out of volunteerism.
Shinobi-wan, nice. Welcome. Mr. Foreman, nice. Welcome.
Welcome, gentlemen. So I find myself in a Ticosphere.
Thanks, Mr. Foreman.
Out of, not out of need or necessity, but out of the want to help men, right? Dissect their thoughts, just as you're doing right now, and I'm helping you do. So essentially, when you say that groupthink does not exist in the manosphere because our red pill eyes and our red pill goggles forbid us to see such things, it's not true, because there's groupthink within the manosphere. And I don't want to get into that and throw shade on it or anything like that, but just realize groupthink is a very powerful thing. Good night, Captain. Groupthink is a very powerful thing, and in order to combat it, you've got to dissect it and understand why it exists, right? So groupthink back in the day, like take for instance something that everybody says, a saying, like tie your shoes. That's groupthink, right? Everyone thinks tie your shoes, shoes. Oh shit, man! Velcro came out. Oh, what are you, too lazy to tie your shoes? Fuck, man! Goddamn Velcro was awesome as shit, man. All I had to do, 2 straps, I'm out in the fucking morning on the goddamn bus. But that shit was lazy. It was too nerdy. But that's groupthink. You see what I'm saying? I'm just using that as an example. Don't railroad me for shoelaces, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Hey. We're not going to railroad you for shoelaces. It's a good example, basically. It's a good analogy to use when you actually think about it, because at the end of the day, groupthink, yes, does exist in the manosphere, and it's pretty funny to watch. It's pretty funny to watch it happen, and then people deny that it's actually happening, and you're sitting there like, "Nigga, are you trying to gaslight me?" Like, I'm sitting there like, "Nigga, are you trying to gaslight me?"
Like, crazy. You guys understand how I try to talk about it as if I don't acknowledge those people in it as the quote unquote manosphere, but it's something that goes without saying that it exists everywhere. But I just don't, like, the thing is like, because it's getting bigger, more and more people are feeding into that engine, almost as if it's like, you have more cards to play in that situation now that it's bigger. But there was a part of me that just says, groupthink in the manosphere is harmless, and it's not as harmful as the groupthink that exists outside of it.
True story. Funny. Okay, apparently it's no longer called the Ticosphere according to Americus. It's called the Sadist sphere. I'm gonna need you to respect his life choices.
America's DeVille.
I may need you to respect his life choices. Oh my goodness! But yeah, I agree with y'all 100%. And no, Americans, they don't let you keep your shoelaces in jail unless you're in a holding cell. Then they let you keep your shoelaces. I know personally.
Another example of groupthink in today's world, right? Today's environment is if you just take any person, doesn't matter what background, race, creed, it doesn't matter, and you send them into a place with a bunch of other people and everybody else is wearing a mask. There's no signs or anything like that. What do you think that person without the mask is going to do?
Don't get a mask or wonder what everybody else is wearing a mask.
There you go.
That's
There's
groupthink
in multiple directions, right there.
Another good example of groupthink. Me and Mr. Former were talking about this the other day in another live stream. If you see a group of black people running, you don't ask questions. You just run with the black people, basically.
Fuck yeah!
The irony to black people running away from something is 10 out of 10 times. If a group of black people are running, there's a reason to run. If you see a bunch of white people running, it's questionable if you should run or not. Basically. 9 times out of 10, they might be running a marathon. They might be running. It might be the running of the bulls. It might be Lord knows if you see a group of white people running. But if you see a group of black people run, just run. Run as fast as you can. Don't be the don't be the slowest person in the bunch. And ask when you run up next to somebody, why the hell we running? Don't ask why you're standing there. Run away and then ask why you're catching up to people.
It's like I try to be as objective as I can about the whole thing because I'm coming in very early into all this, so I try to look at it with as much of a knowing full well that I'm emotionally invested. It's not that just that I want this sphere to exist. It's almost like I need it to exist because various things happen to me over the course of my matriculation that made me, the person I am. And to not have this place where I can share what happened to me would mean that I need to, repress it all eventually, go back to being blue-pilled and things like that. And so isn't it, there's got to be a part of it, the group think here in the manosphere that helps us to preserve our real life, like us to preserve. Otherwise, we'd all show our face. There'd be full transparency, which half of the time there isn't, and that's why bots and stuff can really cause a huge problem for us because we have a certain side of the battlefield that's completely closed off to us. I mean, I don't mean to speak for all of us because most people have multiple bases covered and whatnot.
Well, the sad part about that's actually very true. Even a person like me, I do realize that there's a certain section of the battlefield closed off to me. The question is, do I stand here and let them be closed off to me, or do I actually just break the rules and just be a rebel and just go on outside of the battlefield any damn way? And then on top of that, you also got to ask, well, why is that section of the battlefield closed off? Is there a reasoning for it being closed off? Is it a minefield? Is it littered with needles or explosives or dead people, or what is it? Why is it there? Why is it closed off? There's always that, and the sad part about that is you can't always just wander into battlefields without knowing the lay of the land for the most parts, which really sucks a lot of the times, and it's sad.
We don't know necessarily who's leading the charge, because a lot of the people that we're inspired by are actually never mentioned. Like people who come up with the ideas and the philosophy and stuff on how people think individually. Sure. I think like John Locke and Thomas Paine, I think his name. But like, it's just certain people that I'm sure it's like most people have the time to really do research because we're working, and people who are in school are constantly having to deal with school, and like there's this constant undercurrent of of things that underpin our philosophy that we don't really pay that much homage to, but it's like everyone has their own way of expressing it, which I like, and there's a lot of different places to go to in case you're find yourself wanting more information, which I think is good, and that's why I think certain parts of the battlefield are closed off, because that's kind of like the backdrop to what you're doing, and it's kind of like you have your settings and the other person has theirs, and we're not actually fighting on the same field or same area, so to speak. We're all kind of in our own different areas doing our own thing.
And apparently you got a fan, Mr. Pharma here. Yam, 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 yam. Yam got fans. Oh, goodness gracious. But yeah.
You can even unexpectedly start a groupthink process.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So take, for instance, shout out to MGTOW Life. Earlier, I think it was today, he put out a video where he repeated a certain Bruisin Gumskunsky. You all get it, I'm sure. He basically did a video of saying that name over and over and over again, but the real one. And then it spread, hashtag Stone Reaper. So Stone Reaper and Big MGTOW.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he was saying something about Stone Reaper and MGTOW Life.
Okay. I think his sound just cut out by accident.
But what I notice is that if anyone starts something, it's always kind of
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead. Double F, what you were saying?
I was saying both MGTOW Life and Stone Reaper did a video repeating a name over and over and over again. You know, synonymous to somebody in charge of this crub
platform.
Tube.
Yeah.
Crub, whatever. So essentially, they were saying the name over and over and over again. It was funny as fuck. It was just like over and over and over again for no reason whatsoever. MGTOW Life and Stone Reaper. It was funny as fuck, man.
And the only thing I want to add on to that is, like, who's to say that the acronym before MGTOW, or like in the beginning of MGTOW Life's name, who's to say that even exists? Because if it has the effect of what like groupthink can do, but we sort of try to cordon ourselves off from that thing in general by saying that we're individuals, it's almost like we kind of our reach extends outside more so than it does inside, because like we said, we don't really interact with each other. Like the person in the next video over from my thumbnail, I may have no idea who they are, what it is they do in life, but we are united under this.
It's funny you mentioned that, because watching your video earlier today, right after your video, I think Tucker Carlson came on, so you're ranking up there pretty high.
Yeah, I watch your video, then Tucker Carlson come on. It's like, what the fuck? Yam is the shit. Yam is gangster.
I was pleasantly surprised earlier today. Shout out to Baron Yam's channel.
Like shit, like Tucker Carlson coming on, or you'll get like somebody like the Quarterly, or Amazing Lucas comes on after his chat. It's like, oh shit, Yam is the shit.
I think that's interesting. That I always look at who comes after which content creator as just kind of like a marker, and I've never have YouTube myself, but yeah.
And thanks all seeing heart. I really appreciate that. I try my best to. Even when I'm not trying, I end up trying. I end up doing.
Yeah.
What's funny?
I don't know what it is like about the whole process of making videos too.
America's is a nut.
You're you always are trying to detach from yourself. So it's because you have to remain so consistent. You can't really get emotionally involved in yourself, but you also have to have a relationship with yourself. So it's like you have to manage your relationship with yourself a lot. So it's like I'm sure a lot of people who post content are always kind of doing the whole, crazy in the mirror kind of like hype up session and stuff to try to get yourself.
Well,
I'm ready.
It's a seesaw, right? So it's a balancing act that you got to play, right? We all know watching yourself too much. Like Tico makes some really good points in his last video with, giving advice on helping yourself be better and socially talking to yourself in a mirror and stuff like that, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But the problem is when we watch our content, a part of our brain kind of shuts down. And the reason why it's automatic is because we don't want to be that person, like inside we know, like watching yourself is not probably the best thing you want to do. Why? Because number one, who wants to constantly watch themselves unless they're really into themselves, right? So I'm just saying that would be very narcissistic to just sit there and watch your own videos over and over and over again.
You want to know the sad part? The only time I watch my videos is when somebody makes says something stupid in the comment section. And they'll say, well, you said this like 500 times or something like that. And I'll go and I'll literally sit there and count it. Then I'll come back and say, no, I didn't. I only used 200 words. So I know you're lying about how many times I actually said a word. You lying sack of shit. I did slow down I did slow down my speech a lot, but I only said 250 words. So I know you're lying. I couldn't have said that many times. You lying sack of shit.
Damn, Tico.
I literally go back and count. Or like if somebody says, "Oh, Tico, you forgot this," I'll go back and listen. I go, I said it at minute 6:03. Like how you like them apples, bitch.
I would say what you described.
Say my name, bitch. Say my name.
What's my name, bitch?
Tico, whoa, Tren. The dog.
Do y'all think Tucker Carlson watches his videos? Like he watches his own videos?
I think he does. He strikes me as that type of person.
I think he has people watching his videos for him.
I think he watches his own videos though, because he strikes me as that type of person.
Have you all ever? I mean, yeah, I have on the show. I broke it down. How people in different levels of society, not levels
really,
in this
really
case.
American Seville. I'm gladly I greatly appreciate that. Like obviously somebody likes me at YouTube some damn where.
What is he saying? I don't have my glasses.
I think that all the time. I always have that thought. That like somebody up
I keep getting Tico Tren videos in my feed, my YouTube feed.
Yeah, I keep trying to unsubscribe to you.
I know, right?
YouTube keeps automatically resubscribing me to you. I don't get it. I know people are losing subscribers, but automatically when I click the dislike on your videos, automatically clicks on likes. I don't know.
Right? Tico subscribed to you.
You want to know the sad part? The one time I actually rewatched a video because somebody said something stupid and actually disliked one of my videos because I didn't like a certain talking point that I said.
I've disliked one of my videos before. Yeah.
Like, I don't like that part. I'm disliking this. I literally dislike my video if I don't like something I said in the video. Or if I think I forgot something, I'll dislike the video. Like, legit. Like, I could have did this better. Like,
I think I've made so many at this point that I'm working against my ability to watch them by just spamming or oversaturating my channel with videos.
Yeah. I would not be shocked if he did, Mr. Forma. Like I said, I think he does. In Shinobi one, really? That's what we doing. That's what we doing now. Oh, nice. Oh, I see. Okay, I see what you're talking about. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I can see that.
you can watch it. You can watch them as long as you have restraint with how you view yourself. Like
Yeah.
if you're too indulgent with how you view yourself and you watch your own content, then you get to be in that like narcissistic, that cult of personality type, which I don't even know if I can properly describe that kind of person.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a better
Narcissism.
Basically, something like that one word.
I mean, we all have a bit of narcissism inside of us to a certain degree, right? Everything's on a sliding scale.
True.
And
Everybody
just
does.
like
I agree with that 100%.
just like when
Everybody
you're
does.
playing just like when you're playing a game, right? And you go into your stats, you know, shit that you don't even think you were being watched on, like in a video game, and you think to yourself in real life, you know what if I monitored those stats? Like, what if I monitored my energy level during the daytime? Like how energized I feel, and putting it down on a piece of paper and just using those data points to help me eat better, to help me live a little bit better, make better decisions, that sort of thing. I'm just saying, you know, that those energy levels, things are all there. Those data points are all there for you to collect on yourself.
No, true. Definitely true. 100% true.
I just ask you,
Yeah.
gentlemen, look at those data points and improve yourselves. Help yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen up, y'all. Listen up.
And the sad part about that is like I would agree definitely on you. Like everybody there's a sliding scale to the whole entire what's it called? A sliding scale to the whole entire narcissism, because like we always joke about my daughter being a condescending prick, and we always joke about where she got it from. But the sad part about that, if you actually line up my condescending prick with her condescending prick, she has a huger sliding scale than I do. So hers goes damn near across the board comparative to mine. Like only time I'm a condescending prick is when you do me wrong, then I got to turn around and put you down like a dog, basically. Put you down like a rabid dog for the most part. That's the only time I'm a condescending prick. Like
that's
other
where the
than
awareness.
that,
That's where the awareness comes in.
Yeah.
So when you're aware of those measurements of certain things, right? Like take for instance, someone you trust, that someone you talk to on a regular basis, you know, you might want to sit down to that person and say, hey, look, I'm trying to rethink some things, right? The way I do certain things, whether it be your YouTube channel or whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. Just something that you want to make better. You think you've hit a glass ceiling of some sort of your own, that you can't get any better at it. How can you, you know, break the barrier and go a little further and do better for yourself? Well, that's right there. Is it. Start doing metrics on whatever you think you want to be better at. So what are metrics? Data points, right? So find data points on whatever you can measure on whatever you're doing wrong, whether it be efficiency, whether it be budgeting, whether it be time management, whether it be scheduling or remembering something, or, you know, keeping a line of thought, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter.
No,
Find a metric to improve whatever you have, and then make it better. So this sliding scale is not a fixed slide, right? So anybody who wants to get better, all they have to do is do something. Like, let me give you a prime example. Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln suffered from depression. So much so that he consistently kept the company of his friends. He would not allow himself to be alone. So he knew that this was a problem. So in order to combat this problem, I will lay down the groundwork so this problem does not occur over and over and over again. It does not stop me from reaching my goals. Became president.
Yeah, true. And I'm glad that you took something from that screen, All Seeing Heart, because that's literally how I am at work. Like, I don't change for anybody. Like, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to always stand out, and I'm always going to be myself no matter what. No matter if it hurts, no matter if I'm just going to always be myself for the most part, because I'm never going to change for my coworkers, because at the end of the day, If I change, then I'm not being true to myself.
Right.
Why would I not want to be true to myself
At my job.
at my
unless you
job?
want to make a positive change on your own, but you're deciding to
Right.
make that
Yeah.
change,
And the
not
Right.
sad part
someone
about
else,
that
not
is me
someone else on
being
your
me,
behalf.
actually, because the thing I notice at work, what a lot of people at work and what a lot of people don't realize. What's up, No Sweetheart? It's No Sweetheart in the house. What's up? We also got Miss Elite in the house too, by the way. Everybody say hi to Miss Elite. And all seeing
Talking here?
Hearts in the house, along with a few other people. The thing,
Well,
the problem with not the thing with not changing at work, because I know a lot of people. Well, Tico, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't say "What's up, my niggas" to a bunch of white people. Well, no, I'm going to say it because I want everybody to realize that I'm here and I'm not changing for anyone. By doing this, I put everybody on notice and let them know that whatever you was doing before this, whatever all the bullshit that you was doing before this, ain't going to slide with me, basically. So I'm gonna need you to respect me as much as humanly possible. Um,
yeah.
I said Miss
And
Elite,
like,
not Mr. Elite. But yeah, at the end of the day, by doing this, I'm actually setting a precedence for what you can and cannot do with Tico for the most part. Um, and that's typically how it is. And I'm typically going to always be true to myself, no matter if my supervisors get scared or sitting there looking for HR to jump out of nowhere when I say the shit that I do. I'm always going to be myself. So I always got to keep people on their toes because if you're not keeping people on their toes, or if you got people that just are straight dicks at work that are supervisors, you're going to abuse your kindness, or they're going to abuse your character for the most part, or they're going to
yeah,
take it out
kinda
on you by
shuffle 'em off.
putting down your feet
Yeah.
like that, putting down your foot like that. They can't do shit like that for the most part, and they can't step on you, or they literally have to walk around you and literally have to greet you and say hi to you basically without
Yeah.
kicking you in the back or something like that, or try to stab you in the back, or kick you while you're down. They have to respect you for the most part. So you make people respect you. If they don't respect you, you take the respect. Sometimes you can't earn the respect from people because 9 times out of 10 they probably won't respect you due to like cultural differences or economic differences and shit like that. So you have no choice but to take it. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you have. It's kind of like you just like have to accept the game and play by the rules, but you kind of have to bend the rules slightly. Like,
Be nice,
almost
guys.
like if
Don't
you're
don't don't wrench her. She's behaving herself, so let her do her. As long as she's behaving herself, she's fine. Um. Yeah. Go
what's
ahead.
up.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Go ahead.
There was a there. Wait, what was it? Wait, what did I say?
That's not what the scale says. That's not what the scale says. Go ahead, Yam. I'm sorry.
At work, it's kind of like you have to like play your cards right, and you can't if somebody just denies you flat out and they're your supervisor, like they try to like mess with you and say like nah, I'm gonna trying to make you feel bad. Just kind of shuffle them off. Don't let them get to you, and just do your thing.
Yeah, because
Do
the
what
irony
you
to it
do.
is like the irony to that is when people actually harass you at work and shit like that. You also got to take consideration too. The reason why they're probably harassing you for two reasons: either A, they're trying to get you to do something that they want so you can actually be let go, or they're just having a bad day basically and they need to take it out on somebody. And the sad part about that is by doing that and by standing your grounds, they learn very quickly that they can't just do and say any damn thing to you that they want for the most part. And two, they also learn that um that you're not going to budge no matter what. You're willing to fight.
Yeah,
So they
it's
can't
almost
just
like
fuck with you whenever they want.
when they talk about in communication class when they say type A and type B person, or like type X and type Y person.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the second one is always that person in the workplace, the person you can't really control. They're too creative. They think outside the box too much, and therefore they're doing it. Whereas like the type A person that they theorize is more rigid and he's logical, organized, and moves into A and B and C. In the
Mm-hmm.
organization, they're like kind of more fluid, that kind of thing. But the person who's type Y or type B always very like creative and Yeah, that kind of explains it. The red pill that you just dropped right there about uh being about like how to successfully get your cheddar and like get that money. Is you just have to kind of like have a no ego about it and just do what you are always going to do
Yeah, definitely.
100% of the time.
Because I had always had this motto. If it doesn't affect your pay, don't let it affect your day. That's literally how I feel
Right.
about anything. If it doesn't affect your pay, don't let it affect your day. And another thing that I've always actually practiced, and MGTOW the win, you hear him
Hmm.
always saying this about me, is I don't get out of bed for less than $16 an hour or a good cause. If it's none of those, I'm not getting out of bed. If it's not a good cause, I'm not getting out of bed. If it's not $16,
Hmm.
I'm not getting out of bed. That's typically how I That's typically how I operate. Like I tend to operate on those two things on base level for the most part. So that's typically who I am and what I am. But I go. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah. That's where that kind of gets really hazy for me still.
the thing about it is you always got to have morals and standards to actually as your baseline, so you can actually have something to go off of. Like
Hmm.
$16 an hour is my base minimum that I'm willing to do and work for. And if it ain't that, it better be a good cause. It better be a damn good cause for the most part, because I'm a very charitable person, and if it's a good cause, I base the cause based on the situation and the person, if the person deserves it or if the person just wants it and is going to probably abuse it for the most part.
Yeah, but like, who's to say that someone using one of those values or one of those things that you structure your life on are capable of are also capable of manipulating that thing that you're thinking about that you base your ability to work on or your ability to do you or whatever we were just talking about
Well,
before.
in the same token, you also got to take consideration too. I'm always going to
Hmm.
weigh the pros and cons to this shit, and
Yeah.
I'm always going to judge the
Oh,
person who's laying out
mhm,
the offer for the most part.
mhm.
So it's like it sounds like a great thing, but I'm going to have to think about this, or I'm going to have to weigh these pros and cons basically to see if I want to
Don't
do
take
it.
it personally.
Yeah,
Just do your best to like work your way through it. Right. Right. No, I agree 100%. I've like, yeah, I always wait because I've actually never like really quit a job, like just flat out quit. Um, I just basically not agreed to it going into it or something that I ever really like this would decided I was like because now I think about it, I've really always like loved what I did, whatever I was doing, like and whatever I was, whatever job I had.
yeah, true,
But
very true.
yeah. It's like
And this
Soap
is
has really good advice in the chat. He's saying get out of bed at 4 a.m. That will
definitely.
change your entire life. Yeah.
Oh, it definitely will. That definitely will. That, I
Hmm.
mean, that's like most of the people in this world wake up early, and the sad part about that is like the funny thing about it is what a lot of people don't know about me is I sleep. I don't sleep a lot. I don't sleep a lot at one time. I sleep like
Hmm.
short stints basically because the family business is so vast and it's spread throughout the world. Where like I'm going to get an email, like I'm literally getting emails for the closing in another country literally right now as we speak, and I'm literally getting emails for like the closing in another country, and it's only a matter of time before like this side of the world wakes up and starts sending me information that we've gotten from various things and statistics on various parts of the business for the most part.
Hmm.
And I'm always getting emails, so I'm always like talking to somebody. I'm always up doing something. Then I go back to sleep for a short period of time, and I take a lot of short naps for the most part for that reason. And I've learned to actually sleep, like on planes or for 30 minutes and shit like that for the most part, because I'm always up
Tika,
trying to actually improve myself.
I got
Huh?
a question for you.
What?
Are you are you a very private person?
Um, yeah, I actually am, sadly. Believe it or not. Like, despite the fact that as much as you actually know about me, there's still a vast more that you can actually learn about me.
Right.
So the neat thing about it is a lot of people think they know me perfectly based on my videos. I mean, I do put a lot of information out there in my videos about myself all the time. Yes, but
Mm-hmm.
there's still a vast majority of information that you still don't know about me, which actually makes me an interesting person and makes me mysterious at some point too, because there's just a vast majority of information that I don't put out there, because there's certain things that there's certain things where I'll talk about where I believe it's for public, and there's certain things I don't believe is for public. It's kind of like what I was saying about like when Penny Proud came into the live stream that one time and asked me, when she kept on demanding that I fix something, and I basically told her what's happening, and that's information I don't believe that should be out there, but because she came into the live stream and demanded answers and demanded stuff for it, I decided to actually let her know what the heck was actually going on for the most part with that situation. And the sad part about that is that person dropped the ball multiple times when he could have got help, the proper help that he actually needed. I even offered help multiple times, even after the fact, even after the whole entire thing, because, like I said, he actually dropped a line under one of my videos stating that, truce, Tico, truce, no more fighting, truce, basically. So I took that as a sign of good faith for the most part. And a lot of people missed that message, but that message is still there under that comment in that video. And the thing about it though is I keep stuff like that very private. So like you don't need to know that I actually literally am trying to help somebody behind the scenes. That's behind the scenes. That's personal information that you don't need to know.
Just because it's private doesn't mean that other people know about it that you trust.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like it's literally
explain like okay, so then like because explain this the data thing that you're just explaining just before that, because like when you're talking about the things you have to micromanage, like isn't that kind of like hypernormalization almost, like that saying, hypernormalization?
Yeah, and the sad part about that is I grew up in Central America, so
yeah. But that's used to describe like more like things like Russia and America.
Mm-hmm.
But like in South America is definitely completely different.
Yeah, like a lot of things that I would consider hyper normal to me would be like, what the fuck, you live like that? Like that's not right.
Well, I always love the way that the moves from north to south, like the cultural dimensions of people where like watching your own videos can be seen as narcissistic in one area, and then in another area it can be seen as like that's the meditative, that's the act of doing it, is like constantly absorbing it and train your mind to be on your own wavelength and stuff.
Yeah. And the sad part about that is you literally always have to do this stuff. You always have to improve yourself. You can never let shit down or let shit go for the most part. And you basically always have to improve yourself. You always got to be willing to accept things or grow as a human being and do things that are out of the ordinary, kind of like what I'm about to do right now. Hey, Penny Proud, we're bringing back No Ox Shit, so if you want to ever join in on No Ox Shit in the live stream, feel free to join in. Stuff like that as a human being where like you just catch people off guard by saying shit like that. But yeah, it's just stuff like that. Yeah, like it's just stuff like that like, you always got to be willing to actually listen and learn.
Let me just ask you a question. I got another question for you, Tico.
Okay.
Would flying across the country to have sex with an ethot count as going out of that parameter for you?
Oh hell no! I'm not flying across the country to have no sex with an ethot. Shit. What type of shit is that?
Who the hell?
The ethot would fly to me on her own dime. Shit, if I was dating the ethot, she'd be flying to me.
She better have money on hand.
Do you remember the one video when I said something about a woman literally drove from a woman literally drove from, I shit you not, to have sex with me. A woman literally drove from what's it called in Florida? What's that name of that neighborhood in Florida? That very, very nice one. What the fuck is the name of it? I forget the name of it. She literally drove from like, what's the name of it? Oh, I forget the name of it. But like she literally drove from like damn near like south of Florida all the way up to Tampa just to have sex with me. I had one woman who I was actually visiting. Huh?
Did she drive like a Honda, or did she drive like a Mercedes?
She drove a Toyota.
Toyota.
She was driving a
All right,
Toyota. She drove all the way.
that's
She
actually
drove all the way
pretty
from
good.
Tampa. She drove all the way from
I
what the
can work
hell's the
with
name
that
of
a
that?
little bit.
Nepal, Florida, all the way to Tampa, Florida, just to have sex with me. And there was one woman I was actually seen in France, and she in France, and she was so enamored by me that she somehow some way got my name, and she booked me a flight to be her plus one to the Ukraine to spend time with me. While I was flying back home, and the sad part about that, the minute my plane landed, there was a call over to overhead saying, "Tico, you need to be at gate such and such for international flight such and such to Prague." I'm like, the fuck? Like the fuck? She literally paid for me a ticket for me to come to Prague and be a plus one.
So you received summons to go on like getaway trips.
Yeah, literally.
Did
That didn't pay for.
But you banged them? You banged them?
Oh no, I ain't bang her.
Oh, okay.
I got standards and shit. I got standards.
I was just making sure.
Nigga got standards. Yeah, I'm not a hoe.
Those standards don't really have time.
I'm not a hoe.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I'm not a hoe. I got standards, nigga. Come on now. Niggas might be from a third world country, but a nigga got standards. Thanks for paying for my trip.
Okay.
Before you cut in, you gotta pay, but you don't get the real thing. You get the injection.
Yeah, you like no. I got to get to know you. I got to,
Yeah,
I just don't have sex with anything. I don't just have sex with anything and everything. Like I got standards. Like I got to get to know you. Like you want to at least take me out to dinner a couple times. I'm just joking. You don't have to take me out to dinner, but like you literally, like no, I just don't give it up like that. I'm not a hoe. Like, it don't matter how much money you throw at me. I'm not a hoe. Like. Oh, goodness, but yeah, it's just stuff like that that just blows my mind when people do stuff because they think they're throwing up money they think that you should do this. But yeah, it's just stuff like that that just blows my mind when it comes to people.
Damn, I gotta give you guys a good story.
What? Go ahead.
I don't think I want to share this one. All right, fine.
You can do it on another live stream.
No, I'm not. All right, we'll do it on another live stream.
Okay.
We'll do it on another live stream.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's getting pretty late. I'm thinking about wrapping this up.
All right.
Yeah.
Y'all want to wrap it up?
Unless you guys want to keep going.
It's up to you.
Well, what were the topics? The topics were
group think, basically.
That was it. That was group
thinking.
I am in full obligation to do this live stream. I have no reservations.
Very well. Glad to hear that.
Double I just got some ideas.
Well, shifting gears.
Gears,
right? So
okay, let's do it.
One of the things that's been on my mind, right? I've been watching the playing field here. So groupthink, in a sense, is about to, in a way, strategically or unstrategically, point the way to the next field, right? So remember what I've been saying in the live streams. The field has changed. The time of the Rona has completely changed this field, and things are going to be completely different. So you're going to be seeing commercials like don't. In the past it was like, come shop at our mall, come shop at our store or whatever, right? Now it's going to be things like, have your delivery service pick up this product from one of our many distributors. Like the whole landscape has changed, and I'm wondering if anybody else is seeing this, right? So one established thing right now is delivery to your house. And now the group think is it's too dangerous to go outside. You stay indoors and you deliver, or you have somebody deliver you food. How is that more or less putting you in harm's way? But it's more or less, in my opinion, about groupthink, right? So if you take your ass to the store You've got your PPE on, walking around, do your thing. You walk outside, you go home, you take your standard precautions. Isn't that the same thing the guy in the delivery car is doing? Otherwise, if he's not clean or she's not clean, they're coming to your door. They're bringing the same ass germs that they brought to the last person because they didn't take a shower in between. So this is all groupthink, right? So the playing field is changing, utilizing groupthink. Somebody's playing some Forest. I could tell.
No, that was me typing a yam in the private comment section.
I was listening. No, I was listening to what Double I was saying though. I was thinking about that too while I was typing it. But like I don't know because I literally that's what I do. I work, so for me it's kind of like that's just like an everyday thing I have to focus on, like work, my personal life, and then my family. That's how I really think about it at the end of the day. And that's what fuels me to like do what I do, not just think about those three things.
Well, I mean,
thanks all seeing hard.
One thing I will say I incorporate a little bit of is what Double I was talking about, like finding measurements in everything that you do in life. Kind of like when like martial arts or something, like how they practice whatever they practice. That's what you have to do in everyday life. And I do think I incorporate some of that into what I do, but I could definitely do a lot more.
Psyche soap. Better watch that Roni boy.
Watch that Roni boy.
Watch that Roni boy. Watch that Roni.
Did y'all just wrench out Penny Proud? Really, guys? I told y'all not to. She behaves herself. Let her go.
Maybe with the algorithm.
Who wrenched her out?
Somebody did, because she's under another account now.
Oh, she's really messing with DeVille.
Oh, okay. Apparently, she must have pissed off DeVille.
Whatever.
That's the wrong person to piss off. Like you have a better chance of fucking with Shinobi
you do fucking with DeVille.
DeVille's the last person with a wrench you want to piss off. What?
Oh God,
yeah, that's pretty.
Shit. No, that I just wanted to add that piece in because I think it has a lot to do with current events, right? So how it ties together. And you're right, using metrics of your own and the data that you analyze of your own.
Yeah, DeVille did it. Told you. I knew it was DeVille. DeVille blocked me. I knew it. Yeah, that's the last person you want to fuck with. What a wrench.
Oh shit. I don't really think I wrench well, but I am a wrench. You should maybe consider taking my wrench duties away. I never block anyone.
I don't think you would.
Well, the sad part about that is, like, I know if you block somebody, I know it was called for. Like, if you block somebody, it was like literally called for. Like, it's kind of like except for my daughter. When my daughter wrenches somebody, it's a wrap basically. Like, now I got to go unlock them. Thank you very much, Karina. You're welcome. That's like what you say to me. You're welcome.
It's like, don't say that shit.
That kind of reminds me of a Clayton Thomas video. Blocked!
That's all I got.
Oh, I'm just reading the chat.
Yeah, the chats are pretty funny.
Oh, man.
All of our chats
people are just going nuts.
Yeah, it's hilarious, some of these chats.
The chat?
Mr. Elite, stop calling me Penny.
A force of nature in the chat.
What Duzang's in it?
Savage roar.
Well, no, Duzang's not in the chat, is he?
No, he's not.
I was about to say.
If he was in here, he'd be blowing it up, and I think that
I know.
We would see a lot of stock accounts popping up.
DeVille is roasting Miss Elite. Miss Elite spoke up and got blocked. Mr. Elite, is that the real Mr. Elite?
No, it's not the real Mr. Elite. That's Penny's sock account.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm definitely sure if Duzanx was in here, he'd probably be starting some fights too.
Yeah, he would definitely be starting
I'm
some
sure
damn
he
fights.
We have somebody to
I'd have to take Duzane's wrench away just on GP and put him in timeout and shit. Like, I didn't even wrench anybody, but you started a fight. He'd be the type of motherfucker that throw a chair in the middle of a black neighborhood and a fist fight break out.
Close the damn buffet.
Oh my god. Let me go unlock her. Let me go unlock her from prison.
You know, I think you're wrong on one thing,
YouTubers.
Americus. You know, I got your back on most of things, right? But I don't think you can compare Penny to Karen. No, not the same thing. Sorry.
That is very disrespectful to Karen.
Yeah, don't do that to Karen.
Karen's a lovely woman, even though I did a video on her like last night.
Fucking Karen.
Poor Karen. She gets
imagine somebody named like Penny, Karen, Susan, or something like that. That would be terrible.
Oh man.
Dude, that would be interesting as hell. Somebody was named Penny, Karen, Susan.
Picarasus or something like that. There was like
Picarasus
or something like that. I'd be like, wow, how unfortunate.
How unfortunate, right?
How unfortunate. That's what you know.
Penny, I'm gonna need you to play nice. I know America's Seville's being a jerk, but I'm gonna need y'all two to play nice. Somewhat. Or at least pretend like you're playing nice. Oh my goodness gracious.
Which one of the people in the live stream is the person who made Best Compilations 3 channel? That one with all the Karen compilations. I know it was one of you two. One of you guys made that. Have that. That's one of your guys' channel. To be honest.
Who, me or somebody else?
No, like you or Double. I have a or
what was the question?
Somebody
compilation of Karens.
Yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't me. It wasn't.
That was me probably.
Oh, okay. I was just like saying like that's. I feel like if whoever did it, if they're like Red Pill or something, or like maybe they are. I don't know.
No, or Karen doesn't have that much attention of mine.
Yeah.
The gaze of the eye is elsewhere.
Yeah, I did like several iterations of that Karen thing.
I had a great idea. This is for like anybody. Maybe you could try this. I don't want to start any groupthink. But if a Karen won't leave your restaurant, like you see in all the videos, just close the whole restaurant and then have all your employees leave, and then see what she does, and all the cameras will still be running.
That's fucked up. I understand where you're going with this, but that's fucked up.
So like
look, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you guys. You got to see this. It's just funny as fuck because it happened right after each other. America's DeVille made a quick comment. You on seafood diet, and then Mr. Elite Soap. Who the hell are you? So I drop out. Soap's the man at the same time. Shinobi at the same fucking time. Soap's the man. Because Soap's the man. Damn right he is.
Soap's the man.
Yeah, he is. I'll give him that, definitely.
Soap's my boy.
Soap's the homie.
Elmo loves live chats.
Elmo loves live chats.
Soap, I'm really looking forward to the collaboration we're working on, man. I can't wait till this video comes together.
Coming soon. I gotta make some promo music. I'm gonna make some promo music.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yep. How do you guys feel about African drumming?
You know what? YouTube's giving me problems right now. I'm simply trying to all I'm trying to do is help get Pretty Proud out of jail right now, and it's like, dude, are you serious right now, YouTube? They done changed the whole entire fucking system. A nigga actually gotta look for this shit now. I'll have to find it later, Penny. I'm sorry, I can't find you. I can't find that whole entire thing. They just changed the whole entire layout of this damn thing in my computer, so I'm gonna have to bail you out after this is over.
Hold on, I just had a thought about one of the compilations. There's one where like a woman is caught like fleeing the scene of a crime, and the guy is just not bullshitting her. He's like, "You should stay. Like, you just violated the law. The cops are coming, and you're trying to leave." And she's like, "Yeah, but why are you being so mean to me?" Like the way she reacted.
Oh God.
She must have said something else like, "I didn't hit him" or something. But just her reaction was like, "What is it?" But like, why is your tone so harsh? It's like because you freaking committed a crime, and everybody's trying to point you out. As I don't know. I think about that a lot. Like in a private life of people, it's like, do you ever think that violating that you would ever pay for something like that? Of course. So why should you do it to other people? You know, if the consequences of that action are so severe, then why would you go out of the way or go out of your way to do something like that? I mean, that subject's really close to home to me because I really experience that a lot. It's like seeing people suffer from tremendous consequences or not tremendous consequences, but tremendous decisions and stuff in their life, and it leading to bad things. And that's why I have the thoughts that I have. And that's why, like, I really agree with Tico when you say you have to think of those things in your life that you really value, and then just follow and adhere to those, because that's what at the end of the day is going to make you look more make you look and appear more multifaceted, and it's going to allow you to exist really deeply on a personal level with yourself at the end of the day. Like you're gonna have more integrity, and you won't be like following the cause like like a weird, like you're just a tentacle of this like weird flappy octopus thing. And it's just sick when I see groupthink in a room full of crowded people. Oh, it just makes me sick to my stomach. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
I know what you mean, and I know what you're talking about, and it's just
Uh-huh.
it's a matter of how to sort it out or how to get through it without sacrificing who you are yourself for the most part. Um,
Be the better man.
Basically, sometimes you have to take the high road, even if you don't want
Take
to.
the high road.
Yep.
You take the high road, and I'll take the low
Be the
road.
better man. Just like Mr. DeVille. Be the better man, Mr. DeVille. Be the better man. Let that shit slide right off your shoulders.
Yeah, literally. It's going to hurt. They're going to say shit that's going to piss you off. Of course they are. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you handle it and how you carry yourself.
Here, you know what I've learned? They could say whatever the fuck they want. What the hell does it matter?
True story.
What does it matter? What does it change?
It changes nothing. It really doesn't.
Yeah, what they have to do with anything?
Hey, call me an asshole.
Well, I wouldn't say you're an asshole. You're more of a jerk.
I'm more like a dick, right?
Yeah.
I'm a dick. You're
like
right. You're right.
Dick.
I'm a dick.
Yeah. That's a sliding scale. That's a sliding scale of what you are. It's like not that much of a asshole, but you're hell of a dick, and you're like a big amount of a jerk. You're a big amount of a jerk. Yes.
I appreciate that.
I
really do. No, because see, coming from you, I know it's true.
Yeah. I don't like there may be people who know you better who disagree. I don't know. That's just my judgment of you right now, yeah. And that's all it could ever be. I mean, a lot of things that I think about with regards to me, my content, I always think like I'm not going to think like this forever, so I don't really take it personally what I say. I just do the best to say it. Sometimes, most of the time, it doesn't come out because you're right. Double I. We were speaking on screen. You're like, you have a Filipino dialect, and sometimes I use that dialect just because it's easier to speak speak things out than to be more like cagey with what I'm trying to say if I was at my job or.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I use it at my job. I'm just saying like the different kind of dialect I would use. I would just on the live stream and in the chat and stuff. I revert to my Filipino dialect a lot.
Mm-hmm.
and and you can tell probably.
Well,
Because
that's because it's your comfort
yeah,
zone.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if I let
Yeah,
my guard
if I were
down,
to, sure.
if I let my guard down, then I would probably have a dialect of some sort that would bleed through. It'd probably
Yeah,
be an
definitely.
English accent because I actually learned English in England before I came to. Forget it. Long story.
Yeah, and the sad part about that is like
It's always a long
a
story,
lot of people
man,
always
in
talk
this
about
type
my
of
accent,
country.
but what a lot of people always talk about my accent, but what a lot of people actually don't know about my accent is the accent that I'm using now is nothing more than a neutral accent. And there's a lot of Ticos that actually have a very neutral accent when it comes to different dialects and different languages and shit like that. They tend
Mhm.
to shift and change based on that. Like if I
Why is
was to
that? Why is
speak,
that? Do you think it has to do more with like needing more diplomacy and needing to be more diplomatic in the way that
well,
you converse and do things?
um, well, that and it's more so the fact that it actually helps me cover me in person basically too. Because if you were to talk to me in person, I sound
Uh-huh.
way different than I
But
do
it's
online
but
or
you're
on the phone.
yeah, it is a very introverted way of relating to the because a lot of people would just say go with the dialect that everybody else uses, and then that's like more of an extroverted way of thinking about it
Hmm.
versus like go use this dialect for that thing. And it's kind of like what get double I guess to when he's talking about like being a specialist, like
Yeah,
doing certain things, though, like knowing like what you're gonna do, how you're gonna do it. The problem with that I see in it and is like if you haven't if you can't account for your successes like what Double I's talking about with measurements, you don't really have those things that you value as much to do with which to do things with. You're really starting from like nothing. Like imagine if you were supposed to tell somebody they have to do all of this like this micromanaging and stuff, but they have to start from the baseline. Like they're being manipulated by from the word go. That kind of relationship with the world has got to be just like the most depressed and lonely and like just like oppressive existence to have in this world. And it like it's kind of when I don't know what when Double I says like one ones or one twos or something. Like that's what I envisioned in his in my mind. Like I do see
yeah.
how I fall
Hey,
into it.
Pretty Proud, you weren't blocked. You were just timed out. I'm sorry about that. You were just timed out. So you should be able to use your account. I finally found that damn screen. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Yam. Go ahead, Yam. Sorry about that.
Um, oh, I just like that where your private life like bleeds out into reality. I think about a lot, and the way when you put it like from the terms of the dialect, I don't necessarily think I think I have a very neutral accent too.
Hmm.
You do. You have a
You
Southern
do.
California
Well,
accent.
yours isn't neutral as
Yeah.
much as yours actually belong to a certain. Your dialect actually belongs to a certain section of the United States for the most part. Is
Yeah,
what
it
we're saying.
does.
So
Yes,
like,
it does.
And, and I used to say like and stuff before when I lived in Minnesota because I come from originally from California, and I never ever once said "oh" or "a boat" or "a" or "hey there, guy" or "oh, I would just feel bad." I never spoke like that, and I lived there most of my life. So the San Diego dialect or whatever, the California dialect is strong. It is very strong. That's a dominant trait, I would say. That's a dominant trait.
yeah, it is.
But like no, but I mean, yeah, I mean I mean, I didn't. Neither of my family is actually originally from California, anyways. So, like I said, it's a long story. I mean, a lot of story. Anybody who's from a third world country knows that it's a long story. You can't
Yeah, it
you
is a
can't
long
just sum
story.
it you can't
Simple
just
said.
sum it up in one. I don't know. You can't just sum it up in like one virtue signal. Just aimed at something. Like it's just not.
Yes, you
It's not
can.
like that.
You
Yes, you
can,
Oh
can.
yeah.
yeah. I guess you can. Yeah, you can. You can be
Because a
like,
nigga
yeah,
may be from a third world country, but a nigga got standards.
True story.
Shit.
right. Whenever you gotta voice your opinion, you just you do it the way that you're take what your mama gave you.
Check what your mama gave you. Misbehave you. I just want to strip you, dippy, dippy for little baby. Okay, boo. Let me stop. Oh my goodness
we
gracious.
should. Okay, is no auction tomorrow? Because if it is, I gotta get rest.
Yeah, no auction.
Yeah.
It's either
Okay,
table flip or no
actually-
auction, depending on who shows up.
I definitely need to be well rested. Well,
Didn't you just
okay.
invite?
Well, let's wrap this up. Let's wrap. No,
you
because
invited.
well, if he wants to come on, he should come on. We should do this. I'm
All
saying right now.
Well, not today. I mean, no
Not
auction,
today.
right?
Oh,
No auction, probably.
no,
Yeah,
no, sure. Well, he's talking
Yeah.
about he's going to be hungover. That's awesome.
that should be interesting.
It's like the most black pill version of it's like. And sorry, Tico, that I got the way that or I must have has come off as nihilist in your comment box the other day. I really don't mean to do that. It's just
You're fine. You're fine. I was like, what the hell are you talking about, child? You lost me. Like,
Well, let me explain. I was trying to say when you were talking about there's a lot of
fuck your face, fuck you, fuck
They-
fuck the world.
That's
Go fuck the world. Wow.
that's a Tico tagline.
Yeah.
Fuck you,
your
fuck your
this.
face,
And fuck your day.
That's Tico Tren tagline. Welcome to the channel.
Yeah, welcome to the channel.
No, good lord. Y'all are a trip. But yeah, y'all
This
want to wrap
is-
this up, or y'all want to wrap this up?
I'm done. I'm ready to hit the sack.
Same here.
If you watched this far, please
Mango
like
Chunks
it,
is probably like, what's going
Share
on?
it.
Why are you doing a live stream this late?
subscribe to The Lost Dad. Please, you're missing out on life if you don't subscribe to Bear and Yam and The Lost Dad and watch the dual broadcast on 2 separate monitors. If you can't do that in life, then why would you?
Multi-streaming. We've taken it to the
Multi-streaming.
next level.
You need to just like come watch it. Just don't think about it. Just watch it.
On fire.
10 people have, and they look at the eyewitness testimony. You got Logan down there saying, want to be friends. You got Tom down there saying, want to be friends. You got Zimder Trek guy saying, I love their music, saying, want to be friends. Come on, guys. You guys need to go watch the video. Obviously. Both of them.
Well,
Subscribe to
those
their
are actually
channel.
bots that can actually hack your account if you actually sub to them.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
You don't want to
Please do
sub to
not.
them.
Please do not.
Don't even like them.
Don't even, just block them.
And
I don't even
that's
block
a
them. I just let
freebie.
them. I just let
I
them
think
run
blocking
free.
them actually, I don't
That's
see why
a
not blocking
freebie
them.
for you there, Penny. If you see those guys on your channel, don't like them.
Don't do
Don't.
anything.
Don't sub to
just
them
leave
either.
those. They're
They're
bots.
not
They're
related.
They're
Russian
bots, and they basically hack your account.
Yeah.
YouTube is apparently sleep at the wheel on this one.
Didn't it happen with MySpace and that guy? What was his name? I forgot
Tom?
his fucking name. Yeah, that guy. That motherfucker.
Yeah, apparently his account got hacked, and the person who hacked his account had everybody's information.
See, this is why I don't go after
Because Tom was
larger
everybody's
subscribers.
friend. He was their very first friend on Facebook. Tom. He was kind of creepy.
Y'all know about Facebook. I always think about like how many friends I had in high school and college, and then how many friends that like number dropped to after I left college, and then like now I'm considering just deleting my account outright. That like it's just not worth it at this point to have there's some things that you can store pictures, but at this point I'm thinking about just like taking pictures with and doing all that stuff my own damn self.
Yeah.
Like developing all the photos and not really doing any digital photo like photography.
All right. You contracting my outro, or am I doing it this time?
You're doing your own outro. Smart ass. No laziness in the stream.
All right, gentlemen.
I'm booked today.
All right. Since you're booked, I will do my own outro. Thank you for tuning in to this late night broadcast. I hope you guys have gotten some good messages out of it. Summarize in the daily living of your constructs and your groupthink that you run into, always remember, identify what is going on with that groupthink and why people are thinking that way before you agree with it or combat it. Either way, always sleep with a machete under your pillow, and that's pretty much it. Watch everyone's channel on here on the board, not only here but Psyche Soap as well. He may not be up here, but we love him.
Check out his channel, definitely.
Check out his channel, and he does some pretty good meditation videos, and he's got some more stuff to come. So hashtag Psyche Soap, and I am out.
Americans goes a nut. Welcome to the Tico sphere. Apparently he's talking to Penny. Oh my god, y'all are tripping in the comment section. Y'all, did you do your outro, Liam, or no?
I was gonna do somebody else's outro. Can I do I don't want to do Make Time the Wind. Can I do can I do Black Man?
No more wind. No more wind. He's too. You're targeting now. You're targeting wind now. I'm gonna have to step in and say no more wind.
I think he actually pretty much enjoys it.
I don't like.
I
only do it when it would be funny to wind. I wouldn't do it when
you're only allowed to do wind between the hours of 8 a.m. and approximately, I want to say about 9 p.m. because every time you do them, I'm laughing so fucking hard. My neighbors are
true story.
Come on. Let's just
you can't do wind today. You got to do wind tomorrow or something.
Do someone mellow. So do not make us laugh. I swear to God,
we're not going to do anybody else. We're just going to do an outro so we can end this. So my comment section doesn't devolve into the
I will have a pizza delivered to your house or something.
If you like Tucker Carlson, you'll love Barry Yam. If you like Jordan Peterson, you'll love Barry Yam. If you like
Quasi-Mandias, you'll love Barry Yam.
If you like Quasi-Mandias or whatever, you'll love Barry Yam. You love him. Just go over there and give him some love.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say I'm gonna pretty much end this before my comments, the live stream comment section turned into the Jerry Springer show, and Susan be trying to put me out of YouTube. But y'all stay blessed. Y'all behave yourselves. Always improve. Always do better. Never settle. Do you to the best of you. Have a good night. Peace.